Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Cauldrons of War, Barbarossa, a new turn-based strategy war game out on Steam, currently in early access and only $4.99 over on Steam right now. This is a very different type of war game that really I enjoyed quite a bit. This was taken from a live stream from my channel a couple of days back. It was about a 2.5 hour long live stream. I played through the entire game in 2.5 hours, and I love the way this game limits your ability to micromanage things. I really like the idea of, you're a field marshal, you're a very high-ranking general in charge of the entire Eastern Front for either the Germans or the Soviets during World War II, and you are in charge of telling armies where they're going to fight, in charge of telling them to attack or to dig in on the defensive, or where to send your supplies, or what to do with your air forces, but in a very high-level, generalized sense, and that is what this game really conveys. The artwork is interesting and has a little bit of an atlasy kind of a feel. I think they could make some improvements on the overall map design to make it a little bit more clear, but I just love the aesthetic and what this game is trying to do. I really enjoyed the live stream. We had a really good showing out there. It was pretty much 60 plus the entire time on Twitch for watching a really detailed war game, which 60 plus watching a game like this on Twitch, you don't see that a ton, at least on my relatively small Twitch channel. So I'm really excited to share more of this game. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Please let me know your thoughts down below. But I'm going to go ahead and just jump back in. What you've seen so far, the last minute or so, has been the last minute of footage from the last episode. What you'll be seeing as soon as I stop this sentence here will be where we picked up from the stream moving forward. A strange country. The poor German Landsetter has low morale as far as the eye can see, bleak, flat, and wild landscapes swallowing kilometers at infernal rates, feeding on what he finds on the road without ever being sated. He advances despite the stomach cramps, dysentery, and the apparition of bloody lice, or body lice. Welcome to hell. Apparently that impacts our cohesion of infantry armies, -1. Tiredness of German armies are +1. So that was the event for this week, but the good news is barbarity stays at 4. Right. Meanwhile, on the northern front, the enemy sent no reinforcements into Tallinn, although there were partisan attacks there. I'm going to ignore those for now. I'm just going to progress here toward the objective. 19%, 19%. We'll halt those attacks there. Let's do this. Let's just take Tallinn. Seriously? I've got to use 4 points to get there? Alright, so we took the city. So that objective is now ours. Now that is now ours, and then the troops actually switch over. So that infantry unit that was taking that objective is now switched to the Luga Road toward on our way toward Leningrad. Air superiority is disputed. We could try and gain it back. We could also move some of our partisan forces forward out of reserve. This turn I think I'm just going to shell the enemy. We've got two ammo here. I'm going to go ahead and shell these guys. You can see we inflicted 1 casualty, 1 artillery, 1 infantry, and 1 truck loss. We also impacted their cohesion, which was already somewhat low, setting them up hopefully for a successful attack against them next turn. They do have 1 army, the Luga operational group, in reserve, which could be sent to that front over here, but for the moment anyway. Meanwhile, on the Karelian front, the 7th Army restores communication, launches human wave attacks against the Karelian army, loses 1 cohesion, and then they spend their last... So they're gone. They wiped themselves out, I guess, or they withdrew. In any event, so now we can spend all 3 points of ours here rushing forward here, driving deep into northern Soviet territory. Meanwhile, on the Norwegian front, it looks like the 88th Division is going to the front, and the Murmansk sailors are going to the front. So we've got 2 enemy units here, the 88th Division and the Murmansk Sailors, as well as the 52nd Division are both on this front. So let's go ahead and bring in ammunition supply. And then I think both these guys, what's the cohesion? These guys have decent cohesion. They've also got a level 3 commander. Let's go ahead and launch an assault here. Didn't gain anything there. A second assault, we lose 1 cohesion. So these attacks are breaking down on Murmansk. So we may want to shift the attack a little bit further south down to Operation Polar Foos. I'm not sure. I've never had any real success driving on Murmansk. Meanwhile, the center Army Group Center here, it looks like we're going to have 3 more Soviet units arriving to the front, the 13th Mechanized Corps, 47th Corps, and 13th Army. So 3 new Soviet units arrive. Good news for us is the 14th Mechanized Corps, which had been surrounded for several turns, surrenders. So while they brought 3 units forward, they also lost 1 unit surrendered. These guys are still isolated. They didn't draw any fuel or supplies. Air superiorities, let's go ahead and do... We're going to take air superiority from the enemy, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do... I don't have enough aircraft left for an airlift. Great. All right. Well, in that case, it's going to be on the army then to assault. First we'll shell. Then we'll assault. We wipe out the 13th Army over here. That's a good result. Over here, we'll go ahead and shell, and then we'll assault. We didn't gain anything really there on this mechanized corps. I really need to unisolate these guys, but at least they're not extended. So this unit here, 13th Army and NKVD Border Guards, I think will both be wiped out. I think. I'm not sure. Nistro and Rogue Linemen, thank you very much for the follows. Yeah, the UI could probably use some improvement. Again, it is in early access, though, so. We're at 90% toward Ukraine. Meanwhile, the 6th Army is counterattacked, and the 17th Army, 6 cohesion loss, 11 cohesion loss for the Soviets. These guys are all already surrounded. So not a very meaningful turn on their end. All right. We're at 90%, so I think we're just going to... All right, so we launched 2 artillery attacks. Our infantry assaults here. We rout the 12th Army, drive forward. Another attack here wipes out the 12th Army, captures 2 trucks, drives forward as well. We haven't yet taken this objective. We're probably moving too carefully, too slowly. But we did destroy another Soviet army here, the 5th Army, or the 12th Army. The 5th Army is battered as well. Their cohesion is low. 24th Mechanized Corps is in reserve. They'll probably come forward. But we should be able to move forward off this objective point next turn. Meanwhile, on the Romanian front, there's infiltration going on against the 3rd Romanian Army, and they damage our supply and cohesion with the Soviet 2nd Cavalry there. So the artillery bombardment before the assault doesn't seem super effective. I'm not sure whether that's worthwhile or not. But didn't really make any progress on the southern front. This is a bad turn. All right, so Cossacks and stuff happening in our rear areas. This increases barbarity as well as fatigue and cohesion penalties. Also, supply trucks are breaking down. The round trip is really long. So, yeah. Meanwhile, the 9th Army was stripped for this. As we progress in the south of Ukraine, the Soviets have created a coastal army from elements of the 9th Army. The mission of the new army is to defend the coast of the Black Sea and especially the port of Odessa. So the 9th Army will get 2 infantry, 1 artillery. The coastal army will appear if the siege of Odessa is triggered. Good to know. All right, so Murmansk, what happens here? Controlled by the party, the 88th Division. So I guess that makes them extreme? I'm not sure. Let's move these. These guys have really bad cohesion, so I'm going to move them into reserve to try and refit them then. So they gain some cohesion as they're being refit. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and entrench the 3rd mountain troops up here just to dig in to withstand an enemy counterattack. I'll then refit these guys for 1 more turn, then move them forward as their cohesion recovers. Meanwhile, the drive on the by the Karelian army is completed, or should be completed. No, they're not going to get there yet. Jeez. Well, they're progressing, but whatever. Army Group North, meanwhile, is now all centered on this Luga Road. The Luga Operational Group is sent forward to the Luga Road, so there are 2 Soviet units here, the Luga Operational Group and the 22nd Army. Set breakthrough here. We'll do a blitz operation. So, some success there. Meanwhile, I'll assault with my other armies. Cohesion is gradually going down. Damn it, we lost 1 tank and 1 cohesion. You can also see the heart here. Morale or fatigue is running low on these guys. We did wipe out the 22nd, or routed the 22nd Army here. 4%. So this is getting a little bit trickier. You can see the 22nd Army on the front line has no cohesion left. These guys are getting just shredded. But my own troops are in a bad spot too. I'm going to airlift. So we did lose 1 plane to weather accident, but the armored group did get new fuel and supplies, so we should be able to use them hopefully next turn to break things out here in the north on the drive on Leningrad. Army group centers at 32%. You can see the 20th Army, 21st Army, 25th Mechanized Corps, and the 7th Mechanized Corps all are moving to the front, so heavy reinforcements for the Soviets this turn. All these units are currently in reserve. They've got the 13th Mechanized and 47th Corps currently on the front. I think we had 1 unit, enemy unit, that was surrendered. We do have air superiority here, so I'll use it to resupply this armored unit. And so we can go ahead and reverse our front here. Inflict heavy casualties on the enemy there. All right, so we wiped out the 47th Corps on the front lines. We also get +1 refueling. That's nice. So these guys have exposed flanks. These guys are exposed and stretched. Let's attack with... Oh, I've used all my command points. So we didn't really make any progress there, but we did destroy 1 Soviet unit, although there's a bunch more coming. Hopefully, at least these guys are... Stretch lines and exposed doesn't prevent them from drawing supplies, I don't think. It also looks like we have 2 rail capacity in the center. That's going to make things really difficult. I need additional units forward there, really. I do have units in reserve I can send, but I haven't yet. So you also get ammunition supply reports if you go back to the headquarters unit here. So I can see this, the Luga Road, the 18th Army drew 1 ammunition, for example. All right, so we should hopefully... All right, so enemy attacks. Oh my god, the 6th Army lost 5 artillery and 10 infantry. Holy shit. Did they get wiped out? It looks like the army was split into a bunch of subcorps. I wonder if there's a way to rejoin them. Okay. All right, so we took our objective here. So we're moving forward. I really want to... Is there... When you split a unit, how do you unsplit it? Okay. Maybe if I pull them back into reserve, I can unsplit them? I'm not sure. In any event, we took the objective, and now the next mission is the capture of Kiev, which won't be easy either. All right, I used all my points to refit the 11th Army and get all their cohesion back. I'll move them to the front next turn. So we're moving forward to the end of July. Uman or Kiev? High Command hesitates on the conduct to be followed in the southern front. While Kiev is only a few kilometers away, the Führer dreams of a giant encirclement of Soviet armies on the southern front. According to him, Kiev is the only... Okay. You might as well turn south to trap the enemy. Few generals are ready to oppose this vision of the Führer. No. I'm not turning anything. I lose 2 command points this turn. Meanwhile, operations are not progressing fast enough for the Führer's taste, as anxiety is palpable, is pouring on the generals of various army groups. The Führer multiplies long telephone conversations with the chief of staff. Right. So we lose 1 command point in army group center due to the Führer's meddlings. All right, so the drive on Murmansk, what happened here last turn? 3rd Gerbers were attacked twice by the 52nd Infantry Division, but we lost nothing. The enemy did lose some cohesion. The 80th Division barrier troops, I don't know what that means. All right, so we did pull these guys back to refit. I guess cleaning operations here to clear our supply chain. Why can't I... I'm kind of confused here. Well, that didn't work. We attacked the Merman sailors and did nothing. Our own cohesion is better now that I pulled them back, but not great. Meanwhile, the Carillion front, we should be able to finally progress here. All right, so we've taken this objective here. These troops have now advanced. Whoops. Is this Lake Lagoda? They've advanced just to the east here. The weird thing is these Finnish troops can't advance any further. Like, it doesn't let them move further than this. This is the furthest the Finns will advance on this front. So now I kind of have to shift my focus elsewhere toward the drive on northern Leningrad. Meanwhile, on the south, it looks like 16th Army lost cohesion. The Soviets counterattacked against it. Their cohesion losses were worse. Gonna pull these guys back and refit them. So you see they get 5 new trucks, 1 new tank. They also gain back some of the cohesion. These guys will reverse the front. '22nd Army is wiped out. Captured 2 trucks. We did lose 1 cohesion. We gained 4% of our success there. And that's the end of that turn. Again, you can definitely see things really start to bog down later in the game. No casualties on the center front this turn. The enemy loses some cohesion with counterattacks. Also, some armored units lose some casualties on their end. My armored units have full cohesion. These guys need a little bit of ammunition. So I can now go ahead and launch a blitzkrieg attack with both of these units. 22%. We also inflicted heavy casualties. We wipe out the 13th Mechanized Corps. We also gain some fuel and 30% toward our objective. So you can see here we're 84% toward Smolensk now. And it's sort of a balancing act, right? If you destroy enemy units, it makes your future progress easier, but the Soviets get a bunch of reinforcements. So, you know, it's balancing casualties versus progress, because you do need to take the objectives at the end of the day. So we're 86% of the way to Smolensk. We wiped out an army, inflicted heavy losses on 2 other Soviet units, and that's the end of the day on the Central Front. Meanwhile, the drive on Kiev, they only have 1 mechanized corps here, so that's good for us. But we only have 2 command points, so that's not good. All right, so we rout the 24th Mechanized, inflict heavy casualties, and gain 8% toward Kiev. And that's all I can do this turn. The Romanian front, meanwhile, the 3rd Army's attacked and badly damaged. The 3rd Army splits into 2 subunits because they're too small to be an army, I guess. Meanwhile, we move the 11th Army back to the front. They launch an attack and wipe out the Soviet 9th Army. They'll launch another attack and inflict heavy casualties on the 18th Army. So the 9th Army's gone, the 18th Army is damaged. The 11th's refit stood them in good stead. And so we'll move forward to August now. What are the Finnish doing? When the Finnish troops have liberated their territories ceded in 1940, they seem to have settled in defensive positions and show no willingness to participate in the capture of Leningrad. They seem to be playing a double diplomatic game with the Allies, seeking to convince the English and Americans that their war is independent. The Finns will not go any further until you have joined forces with them. So, okay, they will advance further once we reach them beyond Leningrad. Meanwhile, the defense of Smolensk Cardons, Army Group Center, and South are still unable to connect. It's time to launch the Panzers full south. No. We're going east. So 2 operation points appear in Army Group Center. The Doneza route operation is open and gains 33% progress. The 2nd Panzer Army is stretched and its flanks are threatened. The Italians enter the dance. So the Italians are sending troops to us. They can send them to the south. And I think that's what we'll do, since we know there's going to be Soviet troops appearing in Odessa. So an Italian Expeditionary Corps is available in the reserves of Army Group South. 2 planes in the south as well. I'm not swinging south from Army Group Center. right, so the 16th Army, 5th Mechanized, 19th Army, and 26th Army are all going to the front. The armies never end. Okay, so we badly damaged the 25th Soviet Corps. A lot of these units are still in reserve, though, so at least there's that. We'll launch a breakthrough operation here. 7th Mechanized is badly damaged as well. We need to gain 2 percentage points to advance further. And we do. So the 25th Mechanized Corps is routed. So we badly damage these units, but we don't destroy them. We do have one unit here, the 25th Corps, surrounded, and we have gotten to Smolensk now. So you can see I'm definitely creating a bit of a bulge in my line here, but I've got an operation here moving forward to the Vizima Road, approaching Moscow here. Meanwhile, in the south, we also had this 2nd Panzergruppen, which has no enemy troops to its front that I could have just advanced and secured our flank south toward Kiev, but I did nothing there because I'm silly. So now the Soviets will definitely send in reinforcements, probably all over the place. Meanwhile, the drive on Leningrad, 34th Army goes to the front, so a new Soviet unit, the 34th Army, is arriving. The Luga Operational Group is still up here. Breakthrough operation, and it's just... Alright, so these guys are back to full cohesion. That's good. Alright, so the 16th Army is back to the front with full cohesion. The 4th Panzergruppen is driving forward, and we're, continuing to slowly whittle away toward Leningrad. Meanwhile, on the Finnish frontier, in front of northern section of Leningrad, you can see Soviet counterattacks were largely ineffective. We'll launch an infiltration movement. And now we'll go ahead and assault. We wipe out the Leningrad defense district fortified region and gain 4%. And then we'll launch another attack, inflicting 1 cohesion damage on the Soviet 23rd Army. Meanwhile, up near Murmansk, we lost 1 artillery, 1 infantry in the 2nd Gerber due to Soviet counterattacks. We also lost a whole bunch of cohesion. Actually, it looks like they were wiped out. All right, well, not doing much in northern Finland toward Murmansk. We're not going to stop Lend-Lease. That sucks. All right, meanwhile, the operations here, there are additional Soviet units, the 31st Rifle Corps, the 36th Rifle Corps, the 49th Rifle Corps, and the 55th Rifle Corps, all moving to Kiev to defend it against us. These guys badly need supplies. We'll airlift. Using my aircraft mostly for airlifting now. We routed the 24th Mechanized Corps. We lost 1 artillery and 1 infantry in the attack, though. Okay. I mean, I'm trying to get all these guys back into the reserve so I can reform that army that was split up. I don't quite understand how that mechanic works, though. Meanwhile, on the Romanian front... Actually, let's use one of our points here in Army Group South. Oh, actually, no, they're over here, aren't they? The Italians are not. I want them to go to the Romanian front. All right, so we wiped out the 18th Army there. The 11th Romanian Army is so good. But double attacks, they will get tired and fatigued with time. Still, we had a good turn wiping out one of their units. This corps attempted to attack and didn't accomplish anything. And so we're moving toward mid-August. Operation Typhoon. The Soviets are massing on the road to Moscow. So this is where the Wehrmacht will destroy them. It is time to launch Operation Typhoon to take Moscow before the end of the year. Courage. The enemy is out of breath. The other fronts are also important. Nash Moscow. So if we do this, aviation groups of Army Group North and South lose 2 aircraft. Aviation group of Army Group Center gets +2. Command of Army Group North gets -1. South -1. Command of Army Group Center goes to 9. The reserves of North and South are transferred to the center. 50% of trucks in the North and South are reassigned to the center. Jesus. That was probably an unwise reallocation of resources. Meanwhile, this group here, I think, can just... There's no one in front of them. They need fuel, though. All right, so the 2nd Panzergruppen just took the objective driving south there. So I'm going to try and drive them south toward Moscow, or toward Kiev down there. I used all my command points up on that, by the way. The enemy still has some troops in front of us. My own troops, I'm hoping they gain some supply and cohesion just by sitting here. It looks like they gained a little bit of supply. If I look at Army Group Center's supply situation, it looks like the 3rd Panzergruppen got fuel and ammo this last turn. So that's important as we begin the drive on Moscow. Meanwhile, in the north, human wave attacks accomplished very little by the enemy. Launch a blitzkrieg attack here. Routed the Luga operational group and surrounded them. The blitzkrieg attacks really help you surround enemy units consistently. These guys gain no supply this turn. All right. I'll refit them and move them to the front next turn. So the 18th Army will be back on the front next turn. Meanwhile, on the Finland front, looks like not much happened. The Soviets counterattacked to no effect. So I'm going to launch an infiltration maneuver here, and then I'm going to launch an assault, which caused us to surround them. They're kesseled. And then I wiped them out. So good news there for us on the front in Finland. There are no enemy units here on the northern boundary of Leningrad here to stop us. Meanwhile, are there any reserves in Norway? No. Can I shift any of these guys to the Norwegian front? Like, it sucks that the Finns won't help advance. They could put so much more pressure if they advanced past Leningrad. All right, Army Group South's drive on Finland. I don't know what control by the party means other than I'm guessing they become tougher fighters. All right, so we wiped out the 24th Mechanized Corps. The rest of their units are in reserve, which is probably why we got a 42% advance there. We lose 1 tank in the attack. Well, that didn't go well. So we gained a big slice of territory toward Kiev there with our 1st Panzergruppen, wiping out the 24th Mechanized. We slightly damaged the 31st Rifle Corps, but there's still a bunch of Soviet infantry here standing in our way. Meanwhile, the Soviets sent the elements of the 2nd Army to the front in front of Odessa. There's also the 18th Mechanized. %, man. 18th Mechanized ceases to exist. We lose 1 tank and 1 artillery, so that does weaken the 11th Romanian Army, but they're doing good work here. They're about the only Romanian troops that seem to be doing any work. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these 3 Norwegian points. I guess I'll just artillery bombard the guys in front of Murmansk. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up here. Hope you guys are enjoying this series as it continues to flow forward. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm really enjoying playing this game. I hope you guys are enjoying watching. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer once again saying, as always, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.